Youth subcultures. Teddyboys. What is the usefulness of subcultural theories in explaining why some youths form subcultures in society? Before assessing the usefulness of subculture theories, we first need to understand what a youth subculture is. A youth subculture is a group characterized by distinct styles, behaviors, and interests. Youth subcultures are a way for individuals or participants to create a new identity that is separate from their social institutions like work, school, and the family. When youth join a subculture, they take on the beliefs, norms, and values of that culture. Teddyboy is a great example of a once popular youth subculture that first came about on the streets of South and West London after the style had become adopted by working class youths. Teddyboys was a popular youth subculture in the 1950s that was characterized by a style of dress, a liking for rock and roll music, and for deviant and rebellious actions. Teddyboys, or often referred to as Teddies, are seen as the original teen rebels. They were one of the first young generations to create its own style and make it acceptable to dress up in the mainstream society. With increased affluence, as post-war rationing eased, young people had the money to spend on fashion and entertainment. The Teddyboy look was not cheap to obtain. Typically, their attire consisted of a long, dark draped jacket with velvet trim, tight, drain-pipe trousers worn short to expose brightly coloured socks, crepe-soled shoes, and bootlace tie. The hair was usually heavily greased, with a quiff at the front and the side hair slicked back to form a DA shape. Teddyboys, along with rock and roll music, were blamed for many of society's ills in the 1950s. Sociologist Jefferson studied the Teddies for several years and states that their norms and values revolve very much around their attitude of shocking their parents and that they were very consumer and style conscious. A Teddyboy's main priority was centered on looking their best and having a streak of rebellion, and with this it created their beliefs, norms, and values, which helped form their youth subculture. They were particularly seen as a rebellious group by the older generations as they were known for getting in clashes with rivals, however were often exaggerated by the media. Functionalists believe that youth deviance is just a process that youths go through, and is a route that has to be followed prior to adulthood. So they see youth deviance as providing a function. So in saying that, the rebellious streak seen in the Teddyboys is not necessarily their norms and values, it is more of what youth cultures as a whole experience. Some functionalists believe that the subcultural theories of Teddyboys are centered on their delinquency and rebellious actions. They primarily focus on juvenile delinquency because theorists believe that if the pattern of offending can be understood and controlled, then they will be able to better understand why it occurs. However, some of the theories are functionalists just assuming that criminal activity is motivated by economic needs, while others posted a social class basis for deviance. Therefore, they believe that the Teddy's youth subculture is centered on the theory of juvenile delinquency, particularly as a way to express themselves and to shock their parents. They believe that subcultural theories like crime and delinquency are why some youths form subcultures, in order to separate themselves from what is considered being the normal of mainstream society. Subcultural theories allow youth subcultures like the Teddyboys to be able to create their own identity in the broader society. The Teddyboys offered a unique sense of identity that whoever was part of the group felt a belonging and a place in society. The function of Teddyboys in society were very much cantered around its purpose in the mainstream culture of being rebellious and deviant boys. The Teddyboys were commonly known not only for their style, but also for their stubborn and deviant actions. It was seen that their youth subculture was there to cause mischief in the mainstream society. Although the Teddyboys style started around 20 years earlier than the punks, the Teddies and the punks were seen as similar and often clashed. Hebditch states in his book Meaning of Style, the punk style was perhaps interpreted by the Teddyboys as an affront to the traditional working class values of forthrighteousness.
Free created using Powtoon.